Hi, thank you for making the time today to learn more about the ways that you can better utilize outdoor spaces for learning. My name is Amy Jones and I work with a nonprofit organization called Food Corps. We work in schools to build a culture of health in partnership with schools and communities, and to do this we do things like gardening and cooking and connecting farmers to schools, while also helping to increase students' knowledge of and experience with and access to healthy foods through things just like school gardening. I also have the privilege of working with Fayetteville Public Schools Child Nutrition Department. I get to help them out with their Seed to Student program and some of those activities, as well as staff training in food, gardening, and nutrition. So today I'm really looking forward to spending this time with you, and I really hope that some actionable learning comes out of this virtual training. So with all that said, let's go on ahead and jump into our topic today. I'm here right now at Butterfield Elementary, which is a school in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and they've really done a lot of great work to make sure that their school garden is set up for a really amazing learning experience for their students. Because working with kids in an outdoor space can be very rewarding. Kids have an opportunity to learn and explore in so many new ways while outdoors. However, this alternative learning environment, it might present some challenges for teachers if you're not so used to working with kids in a differently structured environment. It's really different than kids sitting in chairs in a classroom. So there are some really great best practices that folks have learned over the years, and there's a lot of great tools that you can utilize when you're bringing kids out to an outdoor classroom space. So in order to make sure that it's a space where educators are able to connect well with students, and that students can have have the best possible educational opportunities while still bringing a safe and supportive environment to them, there are some tips to making those experiences the most productive and positive for both students and educators. So I'm going to start today by sharing with you a great resource that I've loved using over the year, this past year, is Teaching in Nature's Classroom. It's a new book by Nathan Larson, who is a garden educator out of Wisconsin, and he's done a lot of really good work. And I'm going to start by reading to you the foreword, which is written by Whitney Cohen, and she's an education director at LifeLab. But she says, she really paints a great picture here. She says, what would happen if every child everywhere had access to a vibrant outdoor space where they could develop a deep personal connection to the natural world around them? A school garden in which they could harvest and enjoy fruits and vegetables fresh from the source. A beautiful open-air classroom in which learning came to life. How would these experiences, if woven seamlessly into the fabric of childhood, impact young people, how young people relate to school and learning, to healthy food, and to the world around them? So I just love her invitation, and I want us to dive into that quickly today as we look at this resource. And this is available to all educators for free, and you can just go online. There's a link in your module to find the book, and you can order yourself a copy. You can actually order multiple copies, so if you have a colleague in mind that would really benefit from this resource or enjoy looking through it as well, please do order multiple resources. Again, it's free, so take advantage. We're gonna just kind of look quickly through the pages, but what follows in this book are several evidence-based practices that outline garden teaching philosophies. So this really allows us to create purposeful activities in a garden setting. Again, all of them are from Nathan Larson, and I just felt like they were too good not to share. So the first one is let the garden be the teacher. You don't have to have all of the answers as an educator in the garden. So if you don't know, you can just say that, and you can say, let's find out, and start exploring together with your students. Also, make it hands-on. Kids love hands-on activities, as you probably know, and the garden is naturally a hands-on place, so encourage that. So much learning can happen because of kids getting down there and trying to figure out for themselves what's going on. Next, let the kids be the gardeners. A school garden, if you love your garden to be a place that is very meticulously taken care of, it might be hard for you to see a school garden sometimes, but it's okay if it doesn't look like a botanical garden. So give kids ownership, help cultivate their investment in the garden by giving them the chance to decide what goes in what bed, and how far apart they're going to space plants and things. So it's really a learning opportunity, the whole process, and if you let them really be engaged and involved in that process, they're going to be more excited to stay connected and to bring their families and community in as well. The next one is build self-efficacy. So set your kids up for success. In other words, make the garden a place for kids to learn new skills and to gain mastery of those skills. There's so many things you can teach in a garden setting. You know, how to water plants properly, how to use a shovel, and how to dig a hole. And teach those skills and let kids to really be proud of themselves and to take these new skills home with them. And not to mention that a lot of these skills are really good life skills to have in the future for them too. Next is build a diverse learning community. There's so many people that we can pull into our gardens and use that opportunity to really engage with the community. You can have older students come and teach younger students, and you can have your class teach also younger grades below them. You can bring in parents and community members and master gardeners. You can bring farmers and local chefs in. So just really make an opportunity to grow your community and make it a group effort. It doesn't have to be just your class doing the garden. Next is cultivate a sense of wonder. So don't let the small little things that you see in the garden go unnoticed. You can squat down with a student and try to figure out what the specifics of the leaf look like and why this plant the water rolls off instead of the other one where the water kind of soaks in, and really let the curiosity of the kids guide the learning. Sometimes your lesson doesn't go exactly as planned, but there's definitely going to be learning happen if kids are curious and if they're exploring as they're in this space. Next up is engage the senses. So senses are so deeply connected to our memory and just help us to have a deeper connection to the natural world around us. And you probably have memories where you can pull up of as you're driving down the street and you smell something and it reminds you of something from the past. When we let kids to touch and to smell and to taste and to really feel what's happening in the soil and what's happening on the leaf, we're allowing them to kind of deepen the experience and for them to kind of have several different ways and methodologies that they're remembering this experience, and hopefully in the future they're going to carry that with them. Also engage in meaningful fitness. So naturally the garden is a place of being active and of movement, and so really let the kids exercise both their mind and their body in this setting. Immerse yourself in nature. So no matter how big or how small your garden space is, let kids explore and connect with the natural place around them. Depending on where you are, there may or may not be lots of natural places for kids to explore in their neighborhoods or in their apartment complexes or wherever they live. So however big it is, let them explore and kind of be captivated by the beauty that nature is. Make connections to home and community. So whether students are taking food from the garden to their homes and to their families, or whether as a class you're donating your food to a local food pantry, or maybe the garden is used to bring people together, let it be an extension of what you're doing in the classroom, or a service project, or a way for kids to provide for themselves or to their families, and really just make it a staple piece of your community. Also engage with worms, bees, chickens, and other animals. This is such a fun part of a garden. Maybe you don't have space for chickens, but there's always insects and there's always worms. And this is just such a great thing for kids to interact with. And they just develop, if you've ever seen a kid around any kind of piece of wildlife, they develop an intense fascination, really close emotional bonds, and also ecological respect too when they get to interact with garden creatures. So all of these are really valuable tools for both learning and for growing kids' social skills too. Also, use the garden for work and play. It doesn't have to just be pulling weeds. It doesn't just have to be running around and having fun either. So use it for both. Children love the chance to learn and to do real work, while also have a fun and satisfying time while they're in the garden. So also as you're thinking about bringing your class out to the garden and having fun or doing work, be sure to be thinking about your culturally competent methods or your approaches to encouraging students to getting dirty and touching the soil. People might bring a whole host of experiences or non-experiences with these activities. So be mindful of that and just meet the kids where they are and encourage them to have a good time in the garden, whatever that looks like for them. Also use an integrated curriculum. the garden is so well suited for such a breadth of subjects. So let your approach be interdisciplinary and just a way to connect learnings from different subjects and from different teachers. Work with the teachers in your pod or whatever that looks like in whatever level you're teaching, and help the garden to kind of make all of the subjects connect together. Next is cultivate a connection to food. So through a developing relationship of food with food, that growing is, it's such a great way for kids to learn about where their food comes from and how it grows, and for them to be encouraged to taste and try new things, and to make really positive and healthy choices in their food behaviors. So encourage that, and lastly, cultivate a sense of place. Students can really feel a sense of place and purpose as they grow food, and I feel like they're at home and feel like they have like kind of a sacred space in a school garden or any kind of growing space. So try your best to cultivate that, make it a space that they want to be at and want to hang out in, and that they're really proud of. And so those are 15 little examples that you can delve more deeply in. Again, if you get this book, this free book that's available online. The next part of your training is to watch the webinar Rethinking Outdoor Classroom Management, and that's by Whitney Cohen of Life Lab in California. And she does a really great job going through different best practices for teaching in an outdoor classroom setting. So best of luck to you in your endeavors in bringing kids out into an outdoor classroom space, and just encourage you to use so many resources that are available for you as you start to branch out of the classroom and give kids some real wonderful experiences outside.